All right, we're going to do the walk and talk here. Going to let the audience build as always. Give it a couple of seconds. It's now 11:30. Let me find us here live. Give us 1 second. I'll wait for that first comment to pop up. Let's see where we are. You got anything yet, Harlan?
I did get the push notification.
All right, and I am showing, I see yours truly.
We're up.
All right, we're up. Okay, so we're going to try something new here today. In addition to letting the audience, I always let the audience kind of kick in. One of the reasons why I do allow some time to go by is because people have a hard time finding us. So by the way, let me just say this for those of you who will watch this later. If you go to the Facebook timeline at 11:30 and you don't find us, click the videos tab. What we'll do is we'll create another visual tomorrow for this to show you how it is that you could click around. So I let people try to find us for a while. Now, as a sidebar, we no longer put the walk-in talks, nor will our other shows, be on Facebook and the app and YouTube and the website simultaneously. That breaks rules. So we don't do that anymore. So immediately after we do the Facebook, we download it, we put it on YouTube, we put it up on DennisMichaelLynch.com. You can watch it on the app, and you can sit there and make comments because we have that comment section as well. So as we allow the audience to build up, what we're going to start doing every morning here is we are going to post some of the emails that you've sent us about the show from the day before, or just other general statements that you have. So we're going to start with that right now. But don't put the first one up just yet, Tim. Let me just tell you what the show is going to include today for those of you who want to know whether or not you want to stick around for the whole time or what have you. We are going to talk about President Trump's recent announcement today about keeping or not keeping the embassy in Jerusalem. So we will get to that. We are also going to talk about an amazing jobs report that came out today. We're going to talk about crooked Hillary Clinton and what it is that she said yesterday. That is going to be the crux, the big part of our show today. It's amazing what this woman will not say and will not do. We are also going to speak some about Tiger Woods. Video of him being arrested just came out. And we're also going to review some of the stuff about Kathy Griffin and what she did with the president with the chopping off of the head and what CNN reacted to that. And as promised, I told you yesterday that we would play 2 clips. We're going to play one today and one tomorrow of 2 different hits that I made on media channels back a couple of years ago, where they absolutely use their bias, and we're showing that to you. So today we're going to show you MSNBC. Tomorrow we're going to show you Jon Stewart. So with that being said, we'll continue a couple more minutes for letting people collect up here. Let's start taking a look at some of the emails that we received overnight since the walk and talk. Number 1, why doesn't Trump listen to you, DML? At least try to, A, stop tweeting, and 2, stop having press conferences. And that's from V. Lilly. All right, well, first of all, V. Lilly, let me just say I don't believe he should completely stop having the daily press briefings. I believe he should change them up, as I had said. Harlan had suggested that he just make video press releases, pre-taped. My suggestion was more of switching it up between Sean Spicer and Huckabee, and then maybe periodically throw other people in there, and that you didn't have to do it every single day. But as far as why it is that he is not listening to me, or probably a lot of the people on his own staff, you would actually have to ask President Trump that question directly. All right, next. We have DML. The Diamond Reynolds trial is beginning this week. I pray to God that this cop gets off. Your reporting on Diamond Lavish Reynolds was excellent. It's when I first discovered you. I would love if the courts used your story on her. I truly hope the courts dig deep like you did. Please discuss on a slow news day, of course, from your favorite Minnesota fan, Rhonda Dooley. Okay, Rhonda, well, first of all, what she's referring to there, it's actually not the Lavish trial. It is the trial of Felipe, what was his name? Castandro? Yeah. I can never remember his name correctly. I can't say it right. But it's the black gentleman from Minnesota who was shot by a cop because he was in the car passenger seat and his girlfriend filmed the whole thing on Facebook Live. I did an investigation back when I had my Newsmax show into the girlfriend and just blew away everybody with the stuff that I found. We will play that video for you next week when this trial really starts to pick up. Right now they're just doing jury selection on whether or not this cop should be held accountable for murder. All right, so we will touch that next week. Next, DML, please consider producing a video montage of the left liberal hate spewing. It needs to be out there for the midterm elections. Unless they come up with something more disgusting, it should end up with the powerful image of, it should say, Kathy Griffin's piece. Call it, "This is Hate, Fade to Black, Your Vote Counts." And that's from Jacqueline. Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you here. I have been playing around with a film called Fighting for Trump for quite some time. I was supposed to launch it last year. I had the makings of it. It was phenomenal. I had a contract with Newsmax to use 20 minutes of my show in that film, and Newsmax sent me a cease and desist, basically breaking their contract, and I am dealing with that on another end. One of the reasons why I'm in a jacket today. I have a couple of meetings later on in the day in New York City. But aside from that, Harlan and I started discussing yesterday. We started looking at some of the footage. We know Michael Moore is putting out a film about Trump, and we said that we were going to start committing an hour every single day to putting together the Fighting for Trump movie, with the understanding that we would try to get it in theaters versus our usual DVD thing. So we, at some point, will be really ready to announce something like that. Maybe Sean Hannity will be good enough to allow me on his show to make that announcement. But Harlan and I are pretty determined that we're going to put out a hard-hitting film that's in the movie theaters for Fighting for Trump. Stay tuned. We're not totally ready to go 100% committal on that, but for the most part, we think that that is something that we can accomplish, and we think we could do it better than anybody else. Yeah. We have unbelievable footage, and I think we could tell a very compelling story about why President Trump is trying to make America again, and why people should support him, and why it is that these midterm elections are critical. All right, and we are going to talk about the midterm elections with Hillary in a couple of minutes. Another email. You have occasionally spoke of your niece, Elizabeth Hendrickson. She's an actress on All My Children. She was indeed on All My Children, but it has been canceled. Your niece has been now moved to Young and the Restless, which is the top-rated soap for years. She's fabulous. Jamie. Yes, I did mention her yesterday, quick in passing, and she's not my niece, she's my cousin. Anyway, I think we have one more email before we start into the show, and where are we with that? Do we have another email? DML, I am completely with Dennis on Hillary. I have always believed she stayed with Bill for her own political gains. Thanks for your work and have a great day. That's from Carolyn Schmidt. I think that is in relation to the conversation we had yesterday about why Hillary and Bill stayed together. All right, Tim, is that all the emails, or we have one more? All right, so let's get into the show. I think we've got our crowd up here a little bit smaller than usual. We've got 2,800 people, but it's 11:30. We really just usually get the crowd at about 11:40. Yeah. So we show, which used to be our old time, by the way. Of course. Maybe some people are still stuck on that, but either way, 2,800, 3,800, doesn't matter. We always give our best. So that said, Harlan's going to open it up with an announcement. We just tweeted out, what, about 15 minutes ago? 15 minutes ago, yeah. Why don't we let Harlan do the honors there?
Right, so President Trump has postponed his campaign promise to move the United States Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This is, as we had discussed previously, something that he ran on. He ran on the promise that this move would happen. And actually, this has been a long time in the making. Back in 1995, I believe it was in 1995, Congress passed an act that was supposed to set in motion this move of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Israel. It's a move that would be very significant to both the Israelis and the Palestinians. The Israelis consider Jerusalem to be their capital, and so it's always been a little bit strange that we haven't put our embassy to Israel in their capital city. And so that's the butt of this. The White House did put out a statement, and I'll read it here, and it says, quote, "No one should consider this step to be in any way a retreat from the President's strong support for Israel and the United States-Israel alliance. President Trump made this decision to maximize the chances of a successful negotiation of a deal between Israel and Palestinians." fulfilling his solemn obligation to defend America's national security interest. But as he has repeatedly stated, his intention is to move the embassy. The question is not if that move happens, but only when. The problem with this, as President Donald Trump so clearly and eloquently laid out when he was a candidate for president, is that every president before him since 1995 has promised to make this move. Bill Clinton promised to make this move. President George W. Bush promised to make this move. Even President Barack Obama said that he would make this move. President Donald Trump, when he was running, promised to make this move. And every single president has elected not to follow through with that campaign promise or that promise during their time as president. And so I understand the motivation. It's because the Palestinians are going to get all pissed off and say, we're not a prerequisite for any sort of negotiation and peace talks with Israel and the United States. The embassy isn't there.
Where I'm going to hang my hat on this one is
Yes.
it's a hat of hope. And the hat of hope says that although he is following a pattern of all presidents prior to him, he is fundamentally different than all those guys, okay? In some ways, in many ways better, in some ways, stay tuned. But in terms of why he would do it, I think one of the things we're learning about President Trump, and of course the media will spin this to be something bad, is that, there's a thing in the court of law. You know this. Your parents are lawyers.
Sure. Absolutely.
Everything is based on intent. I think President Trump's intentions prior to taking the White House were solid, robust, and full of, this is what you do to make America great again. I think as he's getting into office and the further he goes along, he realizes that these things take more effort, take more money, take more time, take more negotiation than maybe he originally thought. This is a much tougher job than coming up with the next skyscraper in Manhattan, although that's no easy task either.
No.
When he comes out of a 9-day overseas trip, and he's speaking with, with the Palestinians, and he's speaking with the Israelis, and he's speaking with the people from Saudi Arabia. He's seeing things and hearing things, in many cases, for the first time. He's seeing and hearing things differently. And so he digests these things, and he comes away with the decision of, let's postpone this.
Yeah.
Now, maybe he's postponing it for the same reason that every president prior to him has, which is we realize, to your point, that the Palestinians are going to shut down. I think the difference between Trump and the other guys, if you will, is that he's going to give the Palestinians that part of the negotiation. Okay, but he will not be played by the Palestinians. And so it will turn out to be that if they do not come to the table and really be authentic this time, I do believe he will go back to his campaign promise. So stay tuned on that.
I think you're right.
Yeah, you
I
do?
hope you're right.
You agree with me on that one?
Yeah, I do. I do. Look, I think it's important that they've said that they are postponing it.
Yes.
So we'll see. I mean, in and of itself, it's an important thing that they've made this announcement. They could have just swept this under the rug. And so this signals to me that there is something happening behind the scenes. This is part of a negotiation. And so, yeah, maybe it is more strategic. We just have to see it. Time will tell.
Right. I mean, you know and I know all the headlines here are going to be that Trump basically backed out of another campaign promise.
Right.
And so that's the way they were going to do it. So I'm more concerned about what you are taking at home and what you are taking at work, wherever you are right now, and when you share this video. And by the way, don't forget to share. You guys are you guys are a little low with the shares lately, and I think what it is, you get so caught up in the show you don't hit share. So you got to hit the shares. It's the most important, most powerful tool you have at your fingertip. And so I say to you at home, do not look at this from a headline perspective of, oh, here we go, another one. It's just not the case. Give it some time to cook. That's all we're saying. If it turns out to be that he bails out on this 12 months from now, believe me, we'll wind up hitting him for it, all right? Right between the eyes. All right, so that said, we want to go into something that is really good news, all right? Because we know you don't get a lot of it. We want to tell you about a jobs report, okay? A payroll report that came out today, which is just downright powerful. Could we toss up the first chart, please? This is the month-over-month increase in private sector jobs. You look all the way to the right, and you see that May is jumping up big time over April. And you take a look at January, February, March, April, and May as a whole, and you compare that to the bars to the left of that, all right? And you see that we are making some serious, significant moves in the right direction.
You know what's even huge? If we could put that back up, do me a favor, guys. Look at the column on the far right and the column on the far left. That's year over year. Mm-hmm. So that's May 2016. That was that's the worst jobs report that we've had in a year. And then a year later, you can see the stark contrast between the Obama administration and the Trump administration, because so much of hiring is seasonal, right?
Yes.
And so to look at it month over month, that's huge.
All right, now let's toss that up again. There you go. Tim's starting to get to know my quarterback. He knows when I'm going to throw the ball. So here, this is a very important thing, because I read charts all the time. So I want people to look at this. Obama tried to make the argument that the first month, or at least the people in the Obama administration, tried to make the argument that his work is what actually led to this lift. And he's dead wrong. Because as Harlan just said to you about the hiring seasons, look at the way that things started to jump down. June, you had a big spike because of the summer, but it dropped and it continued to drop. And in October, that's when people really start hiring for the Christmas season. We never wound up getting that. In November, when Trump won the presidency, look at that spike. It all came on the promise of what's to come. And you have not seen a dip. Now, you do see a little bit of a dip in April, because like anything, you could come back to me, like anything, what must go up has to come down. So if you look at a stock doesn't start here and just go like this. It always has its up and downs. That's the way you build. It's building a foundation. All right, so if you see a stock that's going like this over time, it's building its foundation. It's finding its high, it's finding its low. And as long as it keeps on going in the right direction, you know you're building off something. That is a lot of promise. Put up the next chart. Okay, this whole thing that came out today, private payroll jobs. There were 253,000 new jobs added. That's 250,000. The estimated number for May was only 185,000. So they added nearly almost an extra 100,000. I think that math comes out to about 80,000 new jobs that they put on that they didn't expect in comparison to April when we had 174,000. So that says a lot about what the sentiment is out there with investors and with companies and everything else for that matter, that everything is still continuing to go up, 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 up. Now, although you just had your little taste of happiness, before we get to the downside of it, you wanted to also talk about something today which coincides with this, which is the pipeline deal.
Well, the pipeline, and part of these construction numbers is just in the month of May, over 37,000 of the jobs that were created were good construction jobs. And a small part of that, at least over the last 6 months, has been construction in pipelines and infrastructure and other important projects. And one of the most high-profile ones was the Dakota Access Pipeline, and you see that here. According to sources, it's supposed to create over 33,000 new jobs and $1.9 billion in new labor income. Well, today, we finally have that pipeline open. So President Donald Trump's campaign promise to move forward with the Dakota Access Pipeline has been fulfilled. Which brings us to the bad news, right? Because there's so much good news here. I mean, blockbuster, we're blowing it out of the water with creating new jobs. He's fulfilling the campaign promise of pulling out of the Paris Agreement. He's fulfilling the campaign promise of cutting regulations. He's fulfilling the campaign promise of investing in infrastructure and building these pipelines. But you don't hear anything about it.
No. And this is where we're coming back to where the negative side is. I go back to the way we opened the show. We opened the show with an email from a woman, I can't recall her name at this point, I think it was V. Lilly. And V. Lilly asked the question, why doesn't the president listen to you? And I want to say clearly that it's not just me. Everybody is telling the president the same thing. And unfortunately, it's going on deaf ears. We just spilled for you the great news of today. And if you go to DennisMichaelLynch.com every single day, this is not news to you because we reported this. But today, if you look, as of right now, 11:49 Eastern Time, at President Trump's Twitter account, you will see nothing about what we just showed you. You won't have a link to an article. You won't have anything that is emphasizing how great this stuff is, that we absolutely crushed the numbers of an expected 185,000 new private jobs, but we hit 253,000. This could control the narrative today. This could control everything in the Wall Street Journal, in the New York Times, and USA Today, and it could be on every single last news outlet. But instead, they're playing the tweets that he has put out in the last few hours. So, number one tweet, right? He put it up, that the biggest story, the big story, is the unmasking and surveillance of people that took place under the Obama administration. Come back to me. Sir, Mr. President, that is not the big story. The big story is that 250,000 Americans who did not have jobs last month, who many were probably collecting welfare, have now had new hope instilled into their life because of your efforts with working with businesses, and you're not touting that message 50,000 times this morning. We're looking back at the Obama administration. That is something that's already cooking. We're cooking this Russia crap. We're cooking this unmasking stuff. Everybody knows it's there. We don't need the reminder. We don't need to look back. What we need to do is ignore that stupid stuff and let's move forward. If I may borrow from Obama's terminology, let's move forward. I can't understand for the life of me, Harlan, why we have that. And wait, the second one before that, put up the Hillary. Crooked Hillary Clinton now blames everybody but herself and refuses to say she was a terrible candidate who hits Facebook and even Dems and DNC. Come back to me. Who gives a... rhymes with kit. Who cares? Why is he doing that instead of announcing this stuff on his Twitter account? He's got 31 million people following him on Twitter. He's got, if you add up all the social medias, he's got 100 million people. Nobody, I guarantee you, if you walk down the street to the deli, by the way, you owe me lunch today. If you went down to the deli and asked anybody, did you hear about the jobs report? They're going to tell you no.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't understand why he's focusing on bad news when there's so much good news to talk about. And so he creates this culture where the only thing people focus on is the bad. It reminds them of this Russia controversy. It reminds them of the tumultuous election with Hillary Clinton. It reminds them of everything but what he's accomplishing.
And the problem with this is that everybody around him is telling him this. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is just fundamental 101. And when you look at these, there's the argument that says, well, listen, the positive stuff's happening. So if we're not reporting it, we're not reporting it. At least it's happening. Harlan was privy to a phone call I made yesterday because the way that we have to sit, there's really nowhere for me to go in order for me to get any kind of cell service here. I called my stockbroker, and I don't own many stocks. I really don't play the stock market. I don't trade back and forth. I don't do it. I just have a little bit in there, and I said, you know what? I got to make a move. And I called up and I said, how do I short the Dow? How do I short the Dow? What does that mean? Right now, the Dow is trading at about 20. I haven't looked today. It's about 20,900. It's been going up, 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 up. When you short something, that means that you think it's going to come down. Now, DM out. You would bet against America? No. I'm betting against the fact that the messaging isn't going to change. That's what I'm betting on. I'm betting on the fact of what Rick Santorum said the other day to the president, that you could be and should be a great president, a great administration. You should be touting all of your positive achievements, but you're not. You're complaining about Hillary, you're complaining about the media, you're complaining about treatment, you're complaining about this, you're complaining about that, and the message is getting lost. We're back to using terms like crooked Hillary. He didn't use words like crooked Hillary when he was president for 9 days over in the Middle East.
Yeah.
He was a statesman. He was a president that I was very, very happy that I voted for. And now he comes back, I got crooked Hillary, I got back to Obama, I got back to fake news, I got back to all the crap that doesn't matter. And so my concern, and you know how much I forecast, you know how much I live on my predictions, that I can read things and understand what's going to happen. And I'm always right, except for yesterday. I thought that CNN would never fire Kathy Griffin. I'm wrong. But that's one that I don't really care I'm wrong on. And I am telling you that what's going to happen on Wall Street, what's going to happen on Main Street, is that people are going to lose their confidence in the fact that anything's going to be able to get done, Harlan. And the stock market's going to go down, and I'm going to make money off it, which is the money I don't want to make. But I know it's coming. It's
already happening. So there's this group called the Spectrum Group, and they track millionaire investor confidence. And so that basically tells you how confident millionaires are in the prospects of the American economy and if they're investing. And they were very, very optimistic coming out of Election Day, thought we were going to cut taxes, regulation. From April to month, this group tracked the biggest decline in millionaire investor confidence that they've ever tracked. It was a 17-point collapse in 1 month. And so nearly 40% of investors now that are millionaires are not investing. They're withdrawing capital. They're no longer deploying it because they're concerned about what's happening in Washington. And that's not all President Trump. I mean, that's also what's happening with the health care bill on Congress. But he could fix this because, as you said, there's so many good stories to tell here. And we should be working on the economics of this, and we're not. We're talking about Russia. We're talking about Hillary.
We're talking about crooked Hillary.
We're talking about losers.
We're talking about crooked Hillary. I mean, crooked Hillary. Not only did he put out something about Hillary Clinton should be irrelevant. She should not even be in the news cycle.
Yeah.
He's keeping her in there.
Yeah.
He's keeping her in there and responding to and making her relevant. And maybe he doesn't understand the power that his tweet has.
No, he knows.
All right? But I don't mean as a whole.
Okay.
I mean the power his tweet has on his own administration. Okay? I don't think he understands how he is creating his own headlines for him.
Yeah.
In 9 days, I mean, this isn't me speculating. The proof is in the pudding. In 9 days that he was overseas, he never one time mentioned Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Russia, fake news, New York Times.
Was it great?
Nothing. It was not only great,
yeah,
it was presidential. It was what the world needed to see and hear. It debunked this guy is off the rails. And he comes home and it's like the crack was put right back in front of him, and he didn't learn the lesson. And I'm an optimist. I always look for the sunny side of the story. I'm looking at this and I'm calling up to say, how do I put a short? How do I bet against the market? Because I know it's going down. Because of the messaging. The messaging is going to throw his team and his presidency off the rails every time. It's like you're trying to tell a kid, stay focused. If you just stay focused, you'll get to A to Z, and then you could go out and play. You want to go out and play, but you haven't finished your chores. Just finish your chores, stay focused, and you'll go out to play. He can't stay focused on what is most important. And it crushes me because the people who are watching us here, the people who watch us every single day, the people who come in and read our stuff, the people who are banking on all this stuff, there are some people who are just, you said it to me today, they bang on us about their tweets. Those are the people that are helpless. Or we can't help them. I don't even know why they're watching, to be quite honest. If a person cannot see what this is, we put up a poll. Put the poll up, please, Ashley. I think we have the poll ready. Is that the next thing? Yeah. We put up a poll this morning. Do you want President to stop tweeting? Yes and no. Stop tweeting stuff like fake news, but continue to tweet like you did abroad. 66%. And no, keep tweeting everything, that's 22%. And yes, stop tweeting and focus on making America great again, 11%. If I take the 66 and the 11, we're at 77%. That is an overwhelming number. The 22% that want him to continue to keep tweeting, seriously, there's nothing. There's nothing you can say, I can say, you can do, or I can do that are going to bring these people back to reality. And it's sad. It's absolutely
sad. They mistake that for, like, I think some people mistake our constructive criticism for being an attack, and it's not. It's because we care. It's because we think that he has a really good story to tell. It's because we think that he's accomplishing so much, that he's restored confidence in the American economy, and that it's not just big companies going out and hiring people anymore. The vast majority of the jobs that were created in the last month, over 201,000 of those jobs were created by small and medium-sized businesses like ours. People like that are running the corner hardware store, like, you know, people that are creating good construction jobs as well. It's not these menial jobs at the Jamba Juice, you know? It's good paying middle class jobs. Incomes are going up too. So the people that already have jobs are benefiting as well. That's the story to tell. We're not attacking him for the tweets. We're saying stop shooting yourself in the foot. Stop with the unforced errors. Tell this story. It's such a good one.
Yeah. At some point though, Harlan,
yeah.
You know, and again, you know, what do we got? 2.6. Watch this number go down to about 2.2, because those are the people who voted the 22%. Those are the people who only want to hear the afternoon bells about how beautiful everything is. I can't help those people, and I'm not going to pretend that I can help those people. They just don't want to hear. They don't want to hear about the spot on their shoulder could be cancerous. They want to blow it off like it's not there. And then 3 years from now or 4 years from now, when Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden is elected president, and they say, how the hell did that happen? I'll say, well, because you went and you clicked off to something that you wanted to hear because it made you soothe and feel better. The fact, you know, there is a pattern here, and it's a very, very concerning pattern. When he got up and addressed Congress, remember that?
Yeah.
Paul Ryan invited him to address Congress. He gave one of the best speeches I've ever heard a president give.
Absolutely.
And I said, okay, this was the turning point.
Yep.
This is what we needed. Boom. Went right back to where he was.
Yep.
When he bombed Syria and showed, you can't screw with me, I said, okay, this was a turning point. Boom. Went right back to the tweeting. When he turned around and he went for overseas, abroad, for 9 days, and he was one of the best presidents I've ever seen in my life. With the speech he gave to NATO about paying your fair share, that tough love, I said, this is the guy that I've been touting for years. He comes back, boom, we're right back to where we are. And then he wonders why the press stays on these stories. Now, yeah, they do come up with the fake news stuff. I get it. But by and large, the majority of the headlines are driven by President Donald Trump. And the proof of the pudding in that is go back and look for the 9 days he was away. They were picking at stuff like who was holding hands and how hard a handshake was. Not anymore.
Yep. Not
anymore. The fact that there is not a tweet on his account right now about these jobs reports, there's not a better example in the world that I can give you to say this guy does not have himself completely on the Trump train. Yeah. And that's it. I'm not going to change that for anybody or at any given time. That's the truth.
And here's the biggest problem that I see. You say it all the time. The economic improvement that we're witnessing doesn't just benefit Republicans. It benefits Democrats and everybody in the middle and everybody else. He shouldn't be content to only have the supporters that he already has. He shouldn't be content to be defensive. He shouldn't be content to be a president that got elected by 63 million people. You know, like 130-something million people voted in the election. He's delivering for everyone. And he's only hurting himself by not doing outreach to the rest of the Americans. Because by all accounts, based on his early performances, this carries through to 2020. He should win in a blowout landslide that justifies, as you say, putting him on Mount Rushmore. He should be a great president.
He should be carbon copying the history of Ronald Reagan. When Ronald Reagan ran the second time, it was a blowout. They didn't even have anybody to run against him. No. It was an absolute blowout. And the fact that you've got Hillary Clinton right now regurgitating everything and opening PACs, and Joe Biden opening PACs now, these folks, they, you know, you may hate, you said something this morning that was key. We were watching videos this morning, and we're going to play a lot of Hillary stuff in a couple of seconds here. We'll move on. But, you know, we were talking about Hillary Clinton, and Harlan said, you know, what was the word you used?
She's sophisticated.
She's sophisticated. When she's talking about how all this stuff works, she knows her stuff.
It was unbelievable.
She knows her stuff. And the other thing you have to give her credit for, and I can't stand her, so anybody knows.
I can't stand her either.
But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be naive. She understands this stuff, and she understands how it is that Trump is burying himself where other people may not see it. I see it. That's why I'm short in the market. I see it. Other people see it. She sees it. She feels it. Biden sees it. Biden feels it. These are the people who've been around for a long time who really know how things all happen. And he doesn't. And he's not listening to the people who do. And so my biggest concern, you know, you just said something about we're not slamming. You know what? I come back to something I've said before. I'm tired of this. This, for me, has nothing to do about Donald Trump, the person. This, for me, has to do with everything about my country, about my children, about my friends, about my audience, about my fellow Americans, about trying to get this country back on track. We have so many different problems. And if this guy would just focus on the good that is around him, and some of it of which he's created, and pound on that damn message, he'd do it. But Harlan, I don't think he's going to do it.
We'll see.
I don't think he's going to change the message. If he changes the message, my concern is it's going to be too late. Because when these numbers change, if the tax reform doesn't come through and the health care reform doesn't come through and the regulations, all the things he's talking about don't come to be, eventually you pay the price. And businesses will start to pull back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. We're seeing it. I'm seeing it. I mean, I don't go over this much with you, but you know, I'm seeing that we have a nice pace going, but I also see where there are some cracks in the foundation in the economy to where things could go the other way. Absolutely. I see it from the business side of our business. And it concerns me. It's not one of those things yet where I'm saying, oh my God, we've got to lay off everybody. But it's one of those things where I'm saying, okay, I got to keep my eye on this. You know, I got to keep my eye on this.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. We've got a video collage here that Harlan put together with Tim about Hillary Clinton. She was, where was she? She was some stupid thing.
She was out on the West Coast at the Recode conference, which is with a lot of Silicon Valley tech guys. So it's mostly a technology conference.
What do we got, a minute clip here?
It's like a minute and a half.
All right, it's a minute and a half. You have to listen to all the things. It's a minute and a half. We wouldn't usually play a clip that long, but it's that entertaining. So let's play this clip of Hillary, listen to everything, and then we're going to talk about it. Go.
For every decision I made, but that's not why I lost. So I think it's important that we learn the real lessons from this last campaign. I inherit nothing from the Democratic Party.
What do you mean nothing?
I mean, it was bankrupt. It was on the verge of insolvency. Its data was mediocre to poor, non-existent, wrong. I had to inject money into it.
This is the DNC.
The DNC to keep it going. Okay. So within 1 hour of the Access Hollywood tapes being leaked, within 1 hour, the Russians, let's say WikiLeaks, same thing, dumped the John Podesta emails. Now, if you've ever read the John Podesta emails, they are anodyne to boredom. Within 1 hour, they dumped them, and then they began to weaponize them. And they began to have some of their allies within the internet world, like InfoWars, take out pieces and began to say the most outrageous, outlandish, absurd lies you can imagine. you know, the Comey letter, which was, now we know, partly based on a false memo from the Russians.
Right.
It was a classic piece of Russian disinformation, compromat, they call it. So, for whatever reason, and I speculate, but I can't look inside the guy's mind, you know, he dumps that on me on October 28th, and I immediately start falling.
Okay.
What you heard there was everything but I ran a bad campaign. You heard FBI, you heard Comey.
Oh wait, we have a chart of that. Don't bring that up. Let's dig into some of the best stuff. Okay, she said that she got poor data from the DNC and from.
From the DNC.
From the DNC.
Yeah.
Okay. She said she got poor data from the DNC. Now, you were saying upstairs that she was also privy to Obama's data, was she not?
As part of that, she inherited Obama's data and that whole apparatus. But she's trying to say that is a reason that she lost. But Obama's team is widely acclaimed for running one of the best data operations in campaign history.
Okay, now we have a tweet which we believe has been deleted because we couldn't find it on this guy's Twitter account. But in the internet, people take screenshots, it's all there. Can you put up the tweet? There we go. This guy worked on the data team. Leave this up there for a second. He worked on the data team. And it said, DNC folks, today's accusations are effing BS. And I hope you understand the good you did despite that nonsense. We have another one from him. This guy, Andrew? Oh, put it back up. Okay, so, that's what it is. Nomi Kunst. Oh, there's another winner. He wrote, private mode be damned. This is too important. I'm not willing to let my people be thrown under the bus without a fight. Okay, so here's a guy who was on the data team saying what Hillary Clinton just said is complete BS. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Another member of the data team, who she sort of just looked over a little bit, was Seth Rich, the DNC staffer who was killed. But that's a different conversation. She said, WikiLeaks is the same thing as Russia. Now, unlike the Clintons, Bill and Hillary, who have both been caught in statements that are one day this and one day that. For instance, Bill Clinton, when he said he didn't have sex with that girl, and then all of a sudden he changed. And we know one thing about WikiLeaks. For the 11 years that they have been in operation, never one time have they been caught in a lie or anything dishonest. 11 years. And WikiLeaks has said that they did not get the emails from Russia. Now, as a side note, before you wind up putting in your 2 cents there, I want to bring out something else. Somebody here, one of the comments, one of the comments that I saw it go on the screen was, I couldn't see the woman's name, it went too fast. She said, you want Trump to stop talking about Hillary, and yet that's all you've talked about. Excuse me, ma'am. Number one, I'm not the president of the United States. Number two, it comes back to what I just said. He pulls her out of the narrative, and she becomes less of an interesting topic. We are a news business. We report what's in the headlines. We report what's out there. We're doing our job. There's nothing more I'd like to do than not talk about Hillary. Mm-hmm. But because he didn't put the pedal to the metal on her back when he could have, she's out there raising money and talking about 2020 and talking about how it is. You didn't even play that in the clip. She talked about how it is that the Democrats believe they can win back the House in 2018. She's got a whole strategy for winning back the House in 2018. If they get the House in 2018, they can start chairing committees. They could start the subpoenas and everything they need in order to start impeachment hearings against Trump. I don't think people understand how big this is, including President Trump.
Yeah, that's breaking.
This is breaking? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we did just see the AP is reporting that on June 8th, former FBI Director Comey is going to testify in regards to the Russia probe. So that is significant.
Yeah, it is.
So we don't have any further details on that, but we're going to track it.
Go ahead. Comment on what she just said there.
Well, I just thought it was astonishing. I mean, she blamed everybody from WikiLeaks to InfoWars for her own loss. And we never once heard, her take the blame for it. I mean, that clip opened up with her saying that, yes, I've admitted to making many mistakes, but none of those are the reason that I lost. And so she began this forum, she began this conversation at the Recode conference by saying, yeah, I'm not perfect, I made mistakes, but I lost because of all these reasons I'm going to lay out, that's the first time that she's been willing to admit that she refuses to take any sort of blame for it. And when you read the postmortems about how she ran the campaign, it is a perfect indictment for why she should not have been elected president of the United States. Because everything she does is by committee. Everything she does is to reposition herself and to change how people perceive her. It's not about being authentic. And you could say whatever you want about President Donald Trump. To a fault almost, he is authentic. And so for her to continue to blame Comey and the FBI and DNC and the WikiLeaks.
Fox News put out this great thing today. Put it up. Here are the Clinton election loss blame game. She has blamed the FBI, James Comey, the Russians, Vladimir Putin, anti-American forces, low information voters, everyone who assumed she'd win, bad polling numbers, Obama, people wanting change, misogynists, suburban women, the New York Times, television executives, cable news, Netflix, Democrats, Facebook, Twitter, WikiLeaks, fake news, Macedonia, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and believe it or not, she never once mentioned Donald Trump. She never once mentioned Donald Trump, that he could have had a better message, but he left out of it.
Well, no, he had a message.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
I know.
That's the difference. I mean, this is what happens when you allow yourself to be consulted into saying nothing, which is exactly what she did. She had no economic message. Zero. And President Donald Trump had a very clear message. Make America great again. Return us to our days of economic glory. Return us to the days of small government. He had it down so succinctly that he could put it on a hat. When she was asked,
that's good. I got to borrow that.
When she was asked why she was running for president by her own staff, she never, until very late in the campaign, had a reason. She could not articulate to even her own staff why she was running for president of the United States. That's why she lost.
All right, well, listen, let's move on past Hillary. I think we've beaten her name to a stick.
Yeah.
With a stick, and it's at this point, I'm starting to get bored with our own words. All right, so that said, let's go to something pretty interesting. There is a video of Tiger Woods being arrested by the police. It actually was released today. Tim has put together about a minute. Listen to this. Go ahead, Tim.
I do not know. You have no idea? Okay. Have you been drinking tonight?
No.
No? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's some odor coming from you. Okay? Do you know how you got to this point where you're at right now? You have no clue? Okay. All right, I need your right foot in front of your left foot. Right now your right foot is behind your left foot, okay? Go ahead and stand with your feet together and your arms down by your side.
Oh.
Are you okay? What's wrong?
What are we doing?
Right now I want you to say the alphabet from A to Z with your eyes closed and your head tilted backwards. Driver's going to be 1015, reference signal 1. I'll get you the deal number in a minute.
Now, it's turned out to be that he didn't drink. This was his medications. But if you're another person on the road, does it matter?
No.
Whether or not it's Johnny Walker Black or Vicodin? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's sad to see this. He was a great, you know? I mean, he was a legend.
You and I had this conversation the other day with the whole crew.
Yeah.
We were talking about, you said you have never seen a professional athlete or even a celebrity to that nature go from here to here like Tiger Woods. And I said the only other person maybe would match that is Mike Tyson. I mean, he has really fallen from grace, this guy. I hope for Tiger Woods' sake that he could get his life back together.
Me too.
But bigger than him, I hope for the people in Florida who drive those roads that he could get his life back together again. Because if that's what he wants to do to himself, that's one thing. But you want to do that to somebody else, an innocent person who could lose their life because of that,
horrible.
that's a different thing. All right?
Yeah.
All right, so we also want to touch two more topics real quick before we jump off here. Today we are not going to run long. Number 6 on my list here is Kathy Griffin. I said yesterday I got caught. Somebody caught me. I got, in our emails that we get every single day, somebody said, DML, I caught you. You're wrong. You're finally wrong. CNN did fire Kathy Griffin. And so, all right, there you go. That's the one. They put out a thing. CNN has terminated our agreement with Kathy Griffin to appear on our New Year's Eve program. So I guess that she's not going to be drinking anymore with Don Lemon, right? Because that's what they did on the last, they were just drinking on air. But anyway, so yeah, she's gone. And you know what? She's going to be gone for a while until she goes and writes a book about this. Or until they give her a 1-hour thing on Ellen DeGeneres. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden she'll be back again and people will forget this, believe it or not. That's how sad things are in this country. That people will forget about it. All she needs is one good joke or one good book and we'll put her right back into the celebrity spotlights again. And you wonder why we need to make America great again. And then we're going to close out with this. Yesterday, one of the things that we really need to do a better job, I think, at DML Daily is the battle against the mainstream media. And I think Sean Hannity does a really good job at this, and I think he needs more help. So one of the things I want to do, and I don't know, we're going to do this in some of our written articles. I talked to my son about this. You're going to be doing this. Harlan on the Hill, we're going to start on Monday with Harlan on the Hill. It's going to be the walk and talk in Harlan on the Hill, and eventually we get to the truth. But Harlan's going to do a segment every single day called the fake news item of the day, or the misleading news item of the day. And my son Dennis, who spearheads our website, he will be responsible for finding one of these things every single day. We'll be writing about it, and then Harlan will be doing it on his show. Now, it's not always going to be just about something that's fake, but it's going to be something that's complete bias. And I want to show you, we're going to play a clip. It's a 2-minute clip. I told you I would play this yesterday, so this is why I'm continuing it with today. I appeared on MSNBC with Jose Diaz, and we were talking about the danger of illegal immigration and mass immigration that's going unchecked. And this guy, who is big time in favor of open borders, was trying to challenge me every single way he could, trying to rattle me. I wouldn't lose my cool, especially when it comes to this topic. And just as I was about to break him down, he absolutely shuts me off. All right? We watched it yesterday here as a crew, and we said, you know what, we got to play it in full. We know the audience here would appreciate it. So we're going to play that. We'll come back, we'll talk about it, and then we're going to close out. Go ahead.
Attacks in the U.S. have been carried out by undocumented immigrants. Come on. I mean, I know the fear exists, but the fact is that the undocumented immigrants that are here don't commit terrorist attacks.
Jose, that's an irresponsible statement, to be quite honest. I mean, let me just say something about immigration policy. It was designed primarily for 2 reasons: to protect American workers from unfair foreign competition and to protect American lives from people who want to come in here and disrupt the American way of life. And right now, we're not doing either one with our open borders and just allowing people to come through the border right now with diseases like tuberculosis and bacterial pneumonia. Your program and other programs, all the media, is focusing just right now in on the children. The children coming in here without parents is a very small slice of the overall population that's coming through the border. The lion's share of people who are coming through who are actually apprehended, or if you want to say handing themselves over, those are families. Those are adults who are just coming with, at least with one child, many of them teenagers. The other 50% of people who are coming through the border are coming here, they're sneaking through. They could be from a terrorist network. I mean, we know from a congressional report in 2012, Jose, that the drug cartels are working with some of the most dangerous terrorist networks. Why would you deny that? We've got drug smugglers, we've got gang members. You know, I want to protect the American people. I want to protect the American workers.
And Dennis, I had to just show the vaccination rate in the different countries where the kids are coming from. But listen, I really want to continue this conversation with you, because the fact of the matter is that you didn't explain why what I said was irresponsible. And really, you wouldn't answer the question, how many terrorist acts have been carried out by the undocumented that are living here and have been here for many years?
Visa violators.
But I got to go, Dennis.
Have broke our immigration laws.
I tell you what, let's have you back in the future, because we want to continue this conversation. Very much appreciate it.
Sure, just as long as we continue the conversation.
All right. So there's two things there, Harlan. Number one was there was no reason to cut away. What I was about to say to him was that visa violators are actually illegal immigrants. Mm-hmm. And so the visa violators are the people who brought us 9/11. He knew where I was going with that. Everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't feel like I had to bring that up to him when we were sitting there doing it. But then with his comment, obviously I had to. He see where I was going. And I can tell you, you know how it works, and I know how it works. He had a producer in his ear, said, okay, cut this right away, and I'm cut off completely. The other thing that looking back, every time I see that clip, that I should have said is that, you know, if you are a person like him, you are going to sell the idea of terrorism as a building blowing up. But you ask a woman who has been raped by an illegal alien, you ask a woman like I had in They Come to America 1, whose daughter was chopped to pieces and burned in a car, you ask Kate Steinle's parents, you ask anybody who has lost a child to an illegal immigrant, at any level, whether or not their life has been terrorized by that sort of thing, they will tell you yes. So as far as I'm concerned, terrorism, terrorizing, doesn't need to just be a building blowing up. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have said that to him if I had a second chance. But the point being here and playing that clip is you can see, just as I am going to give him the knockout punch, cut to commercial. You've seen it a million times.
Sure.
No? Sure. All right. All right, so listen, we're going to wrap up at that because I have places to go and people to see. And in New York City, I can't stand in New York City. What do we have?
Oh, I was just going to remind you to do the 404.
Oh, yeah. All right. By the way, no, I do that in my closing stuff.
Okay.
So anyway, a couple of things we want to do. We want to close out the show. First of all, my daughter Ashley put together a visual for those of you who say to me, I never understand what you're talking about. Put it up, Ash. You should be following us. Here's what you do. You text the number 40404. You take your phone out, doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, you text 40404. That would be the phone number. It's not the usual 10 digits that you would put in for a phone number with the area code, etc. It's 40404. And then you write out follow, and you could see there's a space there between follow and the @ sign. Follow @RealDennisLynch, then press send. What you should get after you do that is a response, a text message response. You will then be following our alerts. So whenever there's breaking news, whenever there's really important news that we want you to know about that's taking place or whatever it may be, and whenever one of our shows is launching, we send out those alerts. And that's how people get them. So if you could do it, throw it up one more time, just for people who are getting a pen. You text 40404, and then you follow space @RealDennisLynch. All right? You get it, you send, and you'll be happy you did. All right? And if you don't have the app and you want to get that, you go to the iOS store, you go to the Google Play Store, you search for the DML app, you download it, you turn notifications on, you'll be very, very happy. And for those of you who keep on donating to us at DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate, we appreciate it in a big way. Any final thoughts from you there,
That's it. I
Mr.
want Hillary to quit the excuses tour and start owning the loss, because I'm sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, and I want to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees. And that ain't going to happen. All right, well, until tomorrow, we thank you for tuning in. For those of you who can't stomach the fact that periodically we have to give the president a dose of medicine called reality, well, tomorrow maybe we'll be able to say something differently. But anyway, thanks for tuning in as always. We know that so many of you have other choices that you could go listen to, and you come back to us day in and day out. And we really do appreciate that. We feel like you're part of our family. So until tomorrow, God bless you. God bless our troops. God bless the president. God bless these United States. And God bless, who should we pick today? Harlan?
Tim, for doing such a great job today.
All right. God bless Tim. Can we throw Ashley in there too?
Yeah, Ashley, yeah.
Because
Ashley
I have
too.
to drive
Ashley's
home with her,
killing
and
it.
she's going to say, "Why didn't we put me in there? I don't like Harlan anymore." You don't want Ashley not to like it. She doesn't like it. It's a bad thing. All right. So you know what? Actually, we'll read three comments real quick because I have to do it every single day, or else my wife yells at me. We'll go with number one. Cher Star says, "Well, I can't see it anymore. It went away." Andrea said, "Lost without you guys." All right, thank you, Andrea. Also, Jessica says, "Please add that to your letter to him." I don't know what that is. She didn't say it, but maybe she said it before. All right, Norma said, "Good show." And the last one, who's it going to be? What comes up next? What do we got? Come on, come on. Where do they freeze? Joanne and Jim Lewis says, "Get Kellyanne on the show." Kellyanne Conway, I guess she's talking about. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye. All right, Timmy, shut it down. On Diamond Lavish Reynolds was excellent. It's when I first discovered you. I would love if the courts used your story on her. I truly hope the courts dig deep like you did. Please discuss on a slow news day, of course, from your favorite Minnesota fan, Rhonda Dooley. Okay, Rhonda, well, first of all, what she's referring to there, it's actually not the Lavish trial. It is the trial of Felipe, what was his name? Castandro? Yeah. I can never remember his name correctly. I can't say it right. But it's the black gentleman from Minnesota who was shot by a cop because he was in the car passenger seat and his girlfriend filmed the whole thing on Facebook Live. I did an investigation back when I had my Newsmax show into the girlfriend and just blew away everybody with the stuff that I found. We will play that video for you next week when this trial really starts to pick up. Right now they're just doing jury selection on whether or not this cop should be held accountable for murder. All right, so we will touch that next week. Next, DML, please consider producing a video montage of the left liberal hate spewing. It needs to be out there for the midterm elections. Unless they come up with something more disgusting, it should end up with the powerful image of, it should say, Kathy Griffin's piece. Call it, "This is hate" simultaneously. That breaks rules. So we don't do that anymore. So immediately after we do the Facebook, we download it, we put it on YouTube, we put it up on DennisMichaelLynch.com. You can watch it on the app, and you can sit there and make comments because we have that comment section as well. So as we allow the audience to build up, what we're going to start doing every morning here is we are going to post some of the emails that you've sent us about the show from the day before, or just other general statements that you have. So we're going to start with that right now. But don't put the first one up just yet, Tim. Let me just tell you what the show is going to include today for those of you who want to know whether or not you want to stick around for the whole time or what have you. We are going to talk about President Trump's recent announcement today about keeping or not keeping the embassy in Jerusalem. So we will get to that. We are also going to talk about an amazing jobs report that came out today. We're going to talk about crooked Hillary Clinton and what it is that she said yesterday. That is going to be the crux, the big part of our show today. It's amazing what this woman will not say and will not do. We are also going to speak some about Tiger Woods. Video of him being arrested just came out. And we're also going to review some of the stuff about Kathy Griffin and what she did with the president. All right, we're going to do the walk and talk here. Going to let the audience build as always. Give it a couple of seconds. It's now 11:30. Let me find us here live. Give us 1 second. I'll wait for that first comment to pop up. Let's see where we are. You got anything yet, Harlan?
I did get the push notification.
All right, and I am showing, I see yours truly.
We're up.
All right, we're up. Okay, so we're going to try something new here today. In addition to letting the audience, you know I always let the audience kind of kick in. One of the reasons why I do allow some time to go by is because people have a hard time finding us. You know, so by the way, let me just say this for those of you who will watch this later. If you go to the Facebook timeline at 11:30 and you don't find us, click the videos tab. You know, what we'll do is we'll create another visual tomorrow for this to show you how it is that you could click around. So I let people try to find us for a while. Now, as a sidebar, we no longer put the walk and talks, nor will our other shows be on Facebook and the app and YouTube and the website. Fade to black, your vote counts, and that's from Jacqueline. Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you here. I have been playing around with a film called Fighting for Trump for quite some time. I was supposed to launch it last year. I had the makings of it. It was phenomenal. I had a contract with Newsmax to use 20 minutes of my show in that film, and Newsmax sent me a cease and desist, basically breaking their contract, and I am dealing with that on another end. One of the reasons why I'm in a jacket today. I have a couple of meetings later on in the day in New York City. But aside from that, Harlan and I started discussing yesterday. We started looking at some of the footage. We know Michael Moore is putting out a film about Trump, and we said that we were going to start committing an hour every single day to putting together the Fighting for Trump movie, with the understanding that we would try to get it in theaters versus our usual DVD thing. So we, at some point, will be really ready to announce something like that. Maybe Sean Hannity will be good enough to allow me on his show to make that announcement. But Harlan and I are pretty determined that we're going to put out a hard-hitting film that's in the movie theaters for Fighting for Trump. Stay tuned. We're not totally ready to go 100% committal on that, but for the most part, we think that that is something that we can accomplish, and we think we could do it better than anybody else. We have unbelievable footage, and I think we could tell a very compelling story about why President Trump is chopping off the head and what CNN reacted to that. And as promised, I told you yesterday that we would play 2 clips. We're going to play one today and one tomorrow of 2 different hits that I made on media channels back a couple of years ago, where they absolutely used their bias, and we're showing that to you. So today we're going to show you MSNBC. Tomorrow we're going to show you Jon Stewart. So with that being said, we'll continue a couple more minutes for letting people collect up here. Let's start taking a look at some of the emails that we received overnight since the walk and talk. Number 1. Why doesn't Trump listen to you, DML? At least try to, A, stop tweeting, and 2, stop having press conferences, and that's from V. Lilly. All right, well, first of all, V. Lilly, let me just say, I don't believe he should completely stop having the daily press briefings. I believe he should change them up, as I had said. Harlan had suggested that he just make video press releases, pre-taped. My suggestion was more of switching it up between Sean Spicer and Huckabee, and then maybe periodically throw other people in there, and that you didn't have to do it every single day. But as far as why it is that he is not listening to me, or probably a lot of the people on his own staff, you would actually have to ask President Trump that question directly. All right, next. We have DML. The Diamond Reynolds trial is beginning this week. I pray to God that this cop gets off. You're reporting